All right, so you wanted a deep dive on this whole Governor Mills and President Trump thing?
Yeah.
Buckle up.
This is going to be a wild one.
This has got like state versus federal power.
Yeah.
You've got trans rights and a presidential showdown all wrapped up in one neat little package.
I think it really shows what the U.S. political scene is going to look like going forward, in 2025.
Yeah, like this isn't just some one-off,
Exactly.
It really is a good picture of like everything that's going on.
Yeah, a microcosm.
So to set the scene, we had this bipartisan governors meeting at the White House. It was just last month.
Right, just a month into the second term.
Yeah, exactly. A month into President Trump's second term. It was supposed to be all like, everybody's playing nice.
Kumbaya.
Yeah, kumbaya.
Yeah.
And then bam.
Fireworks.
Trump confronts Governor Janet Mills of Maine, and he is furious about her refusing to enforce his executive order.
The one banning trans athletes from women's sports.
That's the one.
Yep.
And it wasn't just like a shouting match or anything.
Oh, no.
She basically told him to see you in court.
Uh-huh.
And to make matters even more interesting, the Department of Education is now going after a school in Maine.
Because
They let a male student compete in girls' sports.
This is getting serious.
Yeah, so before we go any further, I think we need to really break down this executive order.
Yeah, what does it actually say?
Yeah, what's the deal with it?
Okay.
And what are the arguments on each side?
Well, the executive order basically says trans women can't compete in women's sports.
Okay, so just straight up ban.
Yep, pretty much.
And I know there's that New York Times poll that said only 18% of Americans were in favor of trans women competing in women's leagues.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
So is that what's behind this whole thing? Is it just because most people don't want it?
That poll definitely plays a role, and it shows just how complicated this issue is.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, there are real concerns about fairness and competition, right?
Right.
But there's also just a ton of misinformation out there about trans people.
Yeah, what kind of misinformation?
Well, some people say that trans women just have a biological advantage over cis women. And then there are others who are really focused on traditional gender roles, and they think sports should be divided along those lines.
Yeah, like men's sports and women's sports.
Exactly.
So where does Governor Mills stand on all this?
She's holding her ground. She says she's following state and federal law, and she has a pretty strong legal case.
Really? How so?
Well, a lot of legal experts think that Title IX, which is the law that bans sex-based discrimination in schools,
Right.
they think it protects trans students, too.
Interesting.
And then Governor Mills could also point to the 10th Amendment, which basically says that any powers that the Constitution doesn't give to the federal government belong to the states.
Oh, so she could say that the federal government doesn't have the right to tell her what to do.
Exactly.
So it sounds like this could be a pretty big legal battle. But didn't Trump also threaten to, cut off funding to Maine over this?
He did.
And isn't that kind of a power move?
Oh, absolutely. It really shows the tension between the states and the feds, and this case could actually set a precedent for, how far a president can go to get what they want.
Especially when a state's like, no, we're not doing that.
Exactly.
Like a game of chicken with really high stakes.
Yeah, and we can't forget about the human side of all this, this executive order and this whole debate is having a huge impact on trans people.
That's true.
Critics of the order are calling it discriminatory and saying it's just going to further marginalize an already vulnerable community.
Right, and they're saying it's like what happened with, racial segregation and women's suffrage.
Yeah, they're saying it's just another example of denying equal rights.
Like history repeating itself.
Exactly, and that's why this case is so important. If Governor Mills wins, it could encourage other states to stand up to the federal government when it comes to LGBTQ plus rights.
Right.
But if she loses, it could set a really dangerous precedent, and we could see trans rights rolled back all over the country.
Wow, I hadn't even thought about it like that. So this isn't just about, one case in Maine.
No, this is about the whole country.
It could change things for everyone.
It really could, and it's interesting to see how other politicians are reacting to this.
Yeah, what are other people saying?
Well, Governor Josh Green of Hawaii, he was actually there when Mills and Trump clashed, and he called it unnecessary conflict.
Really?
But he also praised Governor Mills for standing her ground.
So he's not taking sides?
Not really. It just shows that even within the Democratic Party, there are different opinions on how to handle this.
So even the Democrats aren't all on the same page?
Not on this one.
Man, 2025 is wild.
It really is.
So what do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah, is Governor Mills doing the right thing, or is she going to mess things up for everyone?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
And what about trans rights? Where do we go from here?
I don't know.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out, that's for sure.
For sure.
What do you think?
I think our listeners need to decide for themselves.
Yeah, think about it. Is Governor Mills a hero, or is she playing with fire?
And how will this affect the future of trans rights in America?
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, leave us a comment or send us an email.
We want to hear from you.
This is a big one, folks, so stay tuned.
It's going to be a bumpy ride.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive.
Until then, stay informed.
And stay engaged.
We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.